G'day, this is Naka, hello.
Oh, good morning, Ian. This is Kathy ringing from Tolga, North Queensland here. How are you?
Good, thanks, Kathy.
That's good. Just thought we'd ring up. We were listening to the guys that walked across the Tanami and we thought that was really impressive. Steve, my husband and myself have just returned from a 306-kilometre walk to the tip of Cape York from just north of Weipa, cross-country.
Cross-country? Gee, what was that like?
It was wild. It was hard work. It was all hard work.
And why did you do that? And not go up in a four-wheel drive?
It was there to be walked. We've driven it, and you're on the road with hundreds of tourists, and we bushwalk, and we thought we'll get our map and compass out and we'll walk.
Now, when you say you were off the beaten track a bit, obviously?
Yes, yeah. We walked cross-country.
So, away from the coast?
Yes, yeah.
Well, tell us, what's that like? Most of us have never been there.
Well, we got a lift out to Stones Crossing, which is just north of Weipa, with the SES. They actually dropped us off and we donated some money to the cause. And it took us 23 days to do our walk, and 245 kilometres of that was in the bush. We never saw a soul. We carried 9 days of food with us and picked up 2 food parcels along the way, which had been dropped off for us. So that was our contact with civilisation along the way. And it was wonderful, just the 2 of us, little tent in our backpacks.
Kieran's got a question.
How did you carry your water?
We carried a couple of litres each on our packs, and we drank out of pig wallows and any hole we came to.
So there was plenty of water on the route?
There wasn't in the lower section. We had some days of 20 kilometres that we carried up to, 4 and 5 litres of water, but knowing at the end of it there were creeks, yeah. And then once you get into the northern area, you're in the swamps. So you're basically walking through slops and swamps, yeah.
Kieran, you're obviously very aware of water since your trip across the...
Very. That type of bushwalking that you're describing is obviously very difficult because it's only realistic to carry about 4 to 5 litres of water.
This way it's so heavy,
and,
But we actually crossed 4 river systems, and the creeks in between, and we based our walking days on the next decent water. Hopefully the next decent water.
And did you have any trouble crossing the rivers?
One river was tidal where we hit it, and it was actually still salt and green and about a 2 metre tide. So we actually walked up, waited for a low tide and went across the rocky bar on that one. But all the other ones we were into the freshwater influence, and we crossed on rapids and where it was shallow enough because the ever present danger of crocodiles too.
Oh, safe. Yeah. Kathy, where are you from?
We're from Tolga, which is just out of Atherton.
So you know the area sort of?
Yeah, we've been up into Cape York a few times, yeah. But it was nothing. We've done a lot of 9-day and 10-day hikes around here, and in comparison, it was nothing. Like, the country up there was just so different. The pig holes for a start, and no tracks. There's no cattle up there. There's no cattle paths to follow, and you're ploughing through grass over your head. And
but lots of pigs, obviously.
Lots of pigs, yeah. We had many old boars coming out at us, and we used our handgun, which we called, that was just clapping our hands and yelling loudly. we used the handgun occasionally, but it was great, yeah. And we walked for a week in pandanus grass, which was just beyond anything we'd thought of, and our knees just bled for a week, literally. All day your knees bled. And yeah.
And there's no burnt country?
There was no burnt country, no, we never walked through a fire, fortunately. But I would say now there's burning up there because there's smoke haze everywhere.
See, that's another experience that when you get off the beaten track like Kieran and you get away from the tourist track and stuff, that's a completely different experience. How do you feel when you come back? You've done nothing like that before, really, have you, Kathy?
Oh, no, we've done lots of 9-day hikes, but nothing, it was
nothing
53
like
days, no. And we just, at the end of it, we just felt elated and just so fit, you're sort of jumping out of your skin, But we hitched to Weipa, so that was an experience too. We had a lift to Laura, which is about 500 kilometres south of Weipa, and put our thumbs out, so the whole thing was an adventure.
Yeah, I'll say. It's like the bloke, I interviewed a bloke some years ago in Melbourne, and he used to work on a farm, and he used to stand on the back of a ute and empty bags of super all day, and he said when I was young, he said I was so fit. He said I was 110. He said I was 120% fit. He said I could leap over buildings at a single bound. He said,
well, we could too. Yeah.
It's obviously nice to feel that fit.
It's wonderful, yeah. But we had some funny experiences. After 9 days into the bush, we came out at Cockatoo Creek, which is where all the tourists cross. It's a real four-wheel drive adventure for them, and they're all out testing the water. And so we walked out and we sat at the crossing and had smoko with bleeding knees and stinking shirts. And a woman came over and she was beautiful. She had all the jewellery on, the makeup and the beautiful clothes. And I said to Steve, she's looking at us, and she eventually couldn't help herself. She came over and she leaned down and she said, "Are you two waiting for a bus or something?" We just thought that was so funny. That was our first contact with civilization after 9 days. She didn't realise, she thought there might be a bus coming along and we're sitting there smelly and looking dreadful. But we thought that was really funny. But the hardest part of the walk was around the Elliott Creek and down onto the Jardine, because it's all swamps. And it's all barbed wire grass, and you fall into these holes and you've got all this vine and swamp, it's up over your head and you're in slops. And
what about snakes and stuff?
We only saw one snake. He was a big brown fellow in a clearing.
And brown fellow?
Yeah, and I think basically he was the only one we saw because the growth was just so thick. We probably walked past 1,000.
Yeah, well, that's true too, isn't it?
Yeah.
They don't, if they can hide, that's fine.
That's right, yeah.
How many kilometres a day were you doing?
One day we only did 9, and it took us 8.5 hours to do that 9.
Oh, God.
Our biggest day was 28 kilometres, but overall we did 306. But like the 9-kilometre day that took 8.5 hours, we walked out of the scrub at Elliott Falls, which is in the national park, and there were people there, and they said, "Where have you come from?" I mean, we must have looked the sight, and we were bleeding and we were covered in mud because Steve had a tumble that day, so he was a mess, and a fellow leaned forward to shake our hands, and I said to him, "Look,
Kathy, you're from Tolga. What do you do in Tolga? Or
I work for a pathology. I'm a phlebotomist. I collect blood, and my husband's with Ergon Energy.
Phlebotomist?
A phlebotomist.
Well, you could have collected your own blood by the sound of things
Well,
on that walk.
would have. We nearly needed a transfusion.
Phlebotomist.
And it sounds like the mozzies would have been bad too,
The
wasn't it?
mozzies, well, no, we only had a couple of nights when we literally slept inside the swamps that we had to go to our tent thinking, well, the mozzies are driving us to the tent. But no, the mozzies weren't too bad. It was the flies. We had fly eating competitions. I won overall. I ate 8 in a day.
They tasty?
Well, you didn't taste them. They were too quick going
They
down.
just went down, yeah.
Yeah.
Kathy, this has been a lovely story. We'll come.